So, John, if you could name a virus after any city or place that you've been to, what would you name it, and what would the symptoms be?
I think it would have to be based on some childhood holidays of mine. It would be the Eastbourne virus.
The Eastbourne virus?
Yeah,
okay.
And symptoms would be extreme boredom, suicidal tendencies, and a kind of a grey pallor.
Wow, you must have had a really weird childhood. I was going to say traumatic, but it also sounds boring.
Just a very boring holiday destination. Nothing to do in Eastbourne. I don't know why we ever went there.
It was probably cheap, John.
Yes, that is almost certainly the right answer. Yeah.
Very good.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are picturing prequels, sequels and spin-offs to Outbreak, part of our little, very mini virus season. Don't worry, we're not doing any more after this.
Yeah, can we move on, please? This is just getting a bit too real at this point. Especially after this film, which, we thought Contagion was accurate. I mean, my God.
This one's built in realism. Anyway, so we'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing from our listeners with the submissions they've posted on our social media profiles. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite bits from this film, give a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most. Pets.
Pets? Oh, because the monkey.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both... Yeah. I've got 2 goldfish, you have 1 dog.
Oh, yeah, but there's all the spiders that I don't tell Louise about.
Oh, fair enough, sure. Are they web designers? Sorry,
yes,
I heard
they
that
are.
joke today.
Yeah, believe me, John, I've never heard that joke like every week since I became a web designer.
Sorry.
And joining me as always, the host with clearly the worst jokes, it's John Lucas.
I've been trapped in on my own for like a week. You got to cut me some slack here. All we're doing at work is trading dad jokes. That's all we're doing to keep ourselves sane. So.
Wow. Maybe you could do some work and then that might help.
Oh, trust me, I'm doing some work as well. I've never been busier. This whole isolation thing was a complete swizz. I've literally never been busier at work.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this movie then, Outbreak?
Well, first of all, should we explain how things are a little bit different this week?
Oh yeah, sure. So this is our first episode of recording remotely, so the audio may sound a little bit different, mainly for me. I mean, John's still at his regular dining table there. I'm in bed. And this is how
Harry's achieved his podcast dream. He is now recording from bed.
This is how episodes are going to be for the foreseeable. I'm just going to be in bed. It's going to be great. Well,
have you left your bed today?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've left the house twice, actually. I went to the shop. It was very stressful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I take it back.
Sure. So, Outbreak then. What do you think?
Outbreak, yeah. This film was the 90s in a bottle.
Oh,
wasn't
like it just?
Primo 90s action schlock of the kind that I just have all the time for.
Yeah.
Like, this is totally in the realms of, like, True Lies and Air Force One. The kind of action films that I really like. I think that maybe you see that in stuff like Skyscraper, obviously. Mm-hmm. These are the ones for me that I cannot get enough of them.
Mm.
They are just so stupid but so enjoyably so.
Over the top, completely silly. Yeah,
absolutely. The dialogue was a treat. I've got a long list of quotes. We'll get through them as we do the plot summary. But this film, I had nothing but fun watching this, which is, considering the circumstances, is pretty impressive. But
yeah, I think it's a very good film to watch at this time because it's just poking fun at what's going on right now, basically.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it didn't know that's what it was doing. I think this film thinks it's a serious, like, drama.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this film probably thinks it is Contagion. Mm-hmm. And, Contagion... We poked fun out of Contagion, but it's certainly not trying to be silly.
No.
This one, it's great. It's just such stupid fun that is kind of appropriate to what's going on in the world right now.
Sure. Yeah. I feel, if anything, I feel less anxious about the whole
coronavirus
situation having watched something this stupid. Like.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like Contagion obviously didn't spend a lot of time trying to be as historically or scientifically accurate as possible, and I do not think this film tried to do that for a second.
No,
I don't think a single medical professional was consulted on the making of this film.
Well, they had a lot going on about Patient Zero.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, they've got the bare bones, they've got the dialogue, but that's in terms of like how science works, how vaccines work, how disease work, how time works. just no, it's not there. But all the better for it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so shall I get into a plot summary, or
you take it away?
Okay, so this film starts in, is it the 70s or the 60s?
The 60s. It's the 60s.
It's the late 60s in an army base in somewhere in Africa.
It's in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, I think. At the time it was called Zaire.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so some people land in hazmat suits to come and investigate in this village. And basically everybody's dying of disease.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's pretty rough, actually, especially as... Oh, no, wait a minute. I've skipped over a little bit here. Sorry, I'm just still remembering this. It starts off with just like 3 or 4 characters in a plane, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, the first scene is in the village, yeah. You've got... Is it Donald... It is supposed to be Donald Sutherland and Morgan Freeman in those hazmat suits, right?
Is it?
I assumed so, like the young versions of them.
Sure, yeah. No,
I mean, we never see the faces. They never get out of the hazmat suits at this part of the film. Presumably because they couldn't de-age them 30 years because this was before CGI. But
yeah. Well, either way, there's one person who's really cocky about everything, but he's brand new. And everyone's saying, like, hey, like, don't get too confident about this. This is going to scare you shitless.
Wait, isn't that what happens to Cuba Gooding Jr. in the laser scene? Are you getting mixed up?
Oh, I'm getting mixed up.
You're getting fully mixed up. That's later.
Are you sure? Because he takes his helmet off and then they're like, oh, no, don't worry, it's not airborne.
Yeah, that's Cuba Gooding Jr. That's later.
Is it? Oh,
yes,
okay.
that does not happen at this point in the film.
Oh, okay, sure. Maybe you should do this.
What? Have you lost the thread already?
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay, sure. I'll take it from here. Okay, so yeah, as you mentioned, the film opens in 1967, I believe, in what was then Zaire, or in Africa, and there is some fight. Well, we open strong because the first shot is full monkey scream.
Oh yeah, yeah,
just full monkey scream opening shot, and I knew straight away this film's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So then we cut to some not so fun stuff though, when we get the guys in the hazmat suits who are investigating I guess a US Army base, but it seems to be in a village in Africa. So there's a lot of American soldiers and also a lot of villagers, I think, all of whom are dying of this horrendous looking disease. And we get to see what happens to them when they died. They get a lot of terrible 90s makeup put on their faces. They look like extras from The Walking Dead. But they look very, very ill, basically.
Yeah.
And so they're walking around saying, you're not going to die, we're going to save you, but first we just need to take a blood sample, which is foreshadowing for later. And then these two mysterious figures in hazmat suits, they leave the camp, fly off and promise to deliver much needed medical supplies very shortly. So then they fly off, and then an airplane follows immediately afterwards and drops some kind of container, which all the soldiers and the medical staff in this village, they assume is going to be medical
supplies. Yeah.
So they're all cheering, waving the American flag, USA, USA. And then suddenly we get the one main guy, his eyes narrow, and we suddenly realise, oh no, they've been tricked. And then the entire village is just obliviated. It's like it's nuked, it's gone, it's wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So then we smash cut to 30 years later.
Mm-hmm.
We're now in 90s present day, so like 1995. And we meet up with our lead character, who is played by Dustin Hoffman, who has the incredibly generic name of like Sam Daniels or something.
Yeah.
Like, they could not have tried less, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So he is, we meet him, he's washing his dogs. We find out that he is a medical researcher or something, or some kind of scientist working in like biohazard, extreme biohazard. But we pick up on him, he gets a call that there's been a new outbreak in Africa again and he needs to go and investigate it. So he very hurriedly drops off his 2 loyal dogs at his ex-wife's, or his soon-to-be ex-wife's house. This is Rene Russo. Now, I don't know about you, but I was super invested in this relationship.
Why?
Could not have cared more. It was just so... just really edge of the seat. I really felt for those crazy kids. I just really wanted them to get back together,
Are you being
My
sarcastic?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
This relationship was garbage. Who cares? Waste of time. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
But he drops the dogs off at her place, then jets out to Africa with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Kevin Spacey. So Cuba Gooding Jr. plays the role of fresh-faced new soldier,
Yeah.
And Kevin Spacey plays the role of sassy, ambiguously gay best friend. classic Kevin Spacey role. They fly out to Africa, and the bit that you were referring to earlier, this is when Dustin Hoffman's like, so this is going to be really rough, right? To Cuba Gooding Jr. He's like, you got to prepare yourself. This is going to be hard. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, no, I've read about this. I know what's going to happen. It's absolutely fine. I am ready. As soon as he gets into a tent with all the sick people, what does he do? He vomits and throws off his helmet. Idiot.
He does see something that is horrific. Like
yes, he does.
He peels back this mosquito net or something, and he sees a kid who might be like 4 or something like that, who's just sitting there with his 2 dead parents, and the kid is very clearly very diseased as well, and is probably going to die soon. And it's a very, very horrific shot.
It is, yeah, but still, he could not have reacted to it worse.
No.
Like, he vomits into his own suit, and then everyone's like, keep your suits on, keep your suits on. He just pulls it off, breathes in all the germ-infected air. But then one of the relief workers comes in and says, don't worry, it's not airborne.
Yeah.
And they just take that entirely at face value.
They
like,
really
okay, cool.
do, don't they? They all instantly take off their suits.
Yeah, and then Dustin Hoffman's like clapping Cuba Gooding Jr. on the back. They're sharing confined spaces. Madness.
Yeah.
Madness.
One thing I noticed in a lot of this was, despite the situation going on, whenever anybody met each other for the first time, even if they're still working for, the army or the health organization, I don't know, they're all still shaking hands.
Oh, yeah.
And, they're all just acting like normal, but, like, you wouldn't, like we do now know, that's just not how it would go.
No, self-isolation does not happen in this movie at any point. They all wear hazmat suits, and that's it. Like,
yeah.
And even then, it really made me laugh when they were just like, they would walk out of like a high risk area, and they just pull the mask off before they even walked out the room. Like,
yeah.
Like in reality, they'd have to step into like a chemical shower. They'd have to
do it at some points in the film.
There's one point when that comes up, but for the most part, they're just like, well, I'm clocking off now. Bye, babes. And they just fling their hazmat suits off willy-nilly. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we get a bit of information from the relief worker. He's explaining what happened, how this mysterious virus has struck the village and it's killing everyone within 24 hours. There was a 100% mortality rate, so not a good prognosis for anyone who gets it. And then there's a weird, slightly racist little moment where they point out some weird African guy kind of dancing on a cliff top, and they go, "Who's that?" He's like, "That's the Juju man."
Yeah,
and he said it's bad luck to cut down trees. And I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is going to be one of those films where." This is nature's revenge. It's, it's like life finds a way. No, that guy never comes back.
No, he doesn't, does he?
They completely drop that.
Even when Dustin Hoffman's like, I need to speak to him. It's like, he never does.
No. Does he live? Does he die? We do not know.
No, it's weird that it never comes up again.
No. But so anyway, so then Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr., they fly back to America, and they debrief Morgan Freeman, who plays Dustin Hoffman's commanding officer, I guess.
Yeah, an army general, I think.
Army general, basically. Yeah. For some reason, this very high security debrief about a potentially deadly pandemic that Dustin Hoffman has been investigating takes place just at a garden party, at a fancy garden party at Dustin Hoffman's mansion. Yeah, Morgan Freeman's mansion, I should say. Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. They're just walking around all these, like, Dustin Hoffman has literally just hopped off the helicopter. He's still wearing his army duds. And I think Morgan Freeman says something like, "You smell like a goat," or something ridiculous. But then, there's all these like fancy guests in like evening wear just wandering around in total earshot. Yeah, and Dustin Hoffman's just giving all this very sensitive information, like this could kill millions. And then Morgan Freeman's like, "No, you were wrong before. It's fine." Imagine being at that party and just hearing like snippets of that conversation, be like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
I don't understand why that wasn't just said. They had to build that set. There was nothing else happened at that party. Why was it a party? I didn't understand. Was there a scene that got cut?
No, I don't know.
Weird. Anyway, so then Morgan Freeman's kind of like, no, you've been alarmist before. I'm sure it's not as bad as you said it's going to be. He's just really trying to sweep it under the carpet, basically. But Dustin Hoffman's convinced. He's really convinced this is the big one, and we need to prepare. Meanwhile, back in Africa, Marcel the Monkey from Friends is kidnapped by smugglers. He gets captured in a net.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he is shipped to America. Or she is shipped to America, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, is it a she?
Yeah, that's a whole plot point. Because that's when... So basically, Marcel the Monkey is shipped to America and then sold to baby Patrick Dempsey, who is playing the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
His character is 90s kid. But he seems to be some kind of black market monkey trader. That seems to be his job.
Yeah, maybe.
He basically sells the monkey to a pet store. And then the guy at the pet store's like, no, I don't want that monkey. It's a female monkey. We've already got a female. We wanted a male.
Yeah.
So Patrick Dempsey has to take the monkey away, but not before Marcel has scratched the pet store owner, which foreshadowing. There's also another monkey in the pet store who becomes important later, and I think they share a banana. I think that's what happens.
Yes, that's right.
Because that monkey also gets sick. Spoiler
That
alert.
monkey also gets sick and just dies. Like that's it.
No, it doesn't die, does it? That's the monkey that gets vaccinated. We'll get to it.
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together on that one. Yeah. Okay.
I will say, this film starts off really simple and then gets super unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when it comes. But
Yeah.
So Patrick Dempsey has to now take the monkey and he decides to release it into the wild, but not before he drives it in his car and it literally spits water into his face.
Yes.
So we're beginning to see a pattern here of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Patrick Dempsey is essentially Gwyneth Paltrow in this movie.
Yeah.
So he releases Marcel into the wild, into the woods in California, and then he gets a flight immediately to Boston. And on the flight, he gets super sick. He gets really, really sweaty. A little kid in a cowboy outfit comes up and tries to steal his cookie, and his mum kind of like hurriedly shoves him away. And he's like, "No, eat the cookie. It's fine. I don't want to get in trouble with the law." Like, while literally like dripping with sweat.
Yeah, he looks disgusting.
He did. They did a good, bad job of just putting all the makeup onto these sick people. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, then he lands and meets his girlfriend at the airport, and she's like, "You look absolutely terrible." And he says, "I feel absolutely terrible." And he's still like sodden with sweat. He looks absolutely at death's door. But of course,
They go
full
in for
kiss,
a full snog.
full snog. Like, why would you?
Like they don't even start with a mouth closed kiss. They just go full on, like mouth open, tongues out, straight into each other.
Yeah, there's not even any build up. You're right.
No.
It's just it's like they're two fish just going at each other.
Yeah.
So she does that, and then he immediately collapses, goes to the hospital, and very shortly he expires, and that is the end of Patrick Dempsey in this movie. But not before Rene Russo, who we mentioned earlier was Dustin Hoffman's ex-wife, but is also some kind of higher-up scientist, medical person. I lost track of what all the roles were. She gets wind of this, and she flies out to Boston to investigate, and she discovers that Patrick Dempsey and his girlfriend are both dying very quickly of this disease. The girlfriend also dies, and then they perform an autopsy on him, I think. And then she's like, "My God, his vital organs have been liquefied."
Yeah, I remember that one from watching this as a child. Just like, that sounds ridiculous.
Oh, I forgot to ask, you saw this as a kid?
Yeah, I'm not sure about how old I was, but yeah, I saw this at an age where it really scared me.
You were legit scared of this. Okay, this is my first time, so I didn't get that experience.
Oh yeah, I was terrified of monkeys.
Oh, it was the monkeys you were scared of. Okay, you thought they were going to pass it on.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I think I was just scared of the concept as opposed to like monkeys passing on disease. I was just like, oh my God, that monkey is scary for whatever reason. I don't know.
Oh, I see. Okay, just monkeys as a concept frightened you.
Yeah, I think
that
monkeys
still the case?
screaming is just a very scary looking little thing.
It is quite, yeah.
No, it's not really still the case.
Okay, we've passed that now.
Yeah, I've grown up, I've matured.
Oh, that's good. So Rene Russo, then she like sounds the alarm that there's potentially a pandemic situation, but so she's monitoring that very carefully to make sure it hasn't spread beyond these two people, and so far it hasn't.
Well, you've already skipped over a bit where Dustin Hoffman has been saying that something's gonna go wrong, and you know it's gonna be very, very bad, and he's telling Rene Russo this, despite the fact that they're getting divorced. They still have some sort of a professional relationship.
Sure.
And so he's telling her all these things, and she's like, "Well, what proof do you have?" He's like, "I don't need proof. I have a hunch."
Oh, yeah. I wrote down like 5 quotes just from that one scene alone. That was like the peak of the bad quotes. So yeah, he says that. He also says, "I'm faxing you the whole epidemic."
Yeah, great.
And then he says something like he's been testing the virus on some animals, some test animals.
Yeah.
And he's like, all the animals died. And then Rene Russo just screams, "Of course they're all dead, Sam. You stuck them with the same needle." That entire scene was priceless. I had a lot of fun with that little argument.
Robbie, you gotta tell him to send out an alert.
No, Sam, I won't.
Jesus, why are you fighting me on this?
No, Sam, I'm not going to base one of my first official decisions on a hunch when the Army won't back you.
It's not a hunch. I'm faxing you the whole epidemic, Robbie. I got a lab full of dead animals here. There's no response to intravenous acyclovir or ribavirin, okay? They're all dead.
Of course they're all dead, Sam. You stuck them with the same needle. Where's the evidence that it's coming here?
I don't need evidence. I got a feeling, okay?
Oh, you got a feeling. Okay,
Yeah.
You know what, Sam? Your feeling is in my notes.
Robbie, this is not complicated. It's very simple. This thing kills everything in its path. Just tell them to put out an alert.
You know, this is starting to sound familiar. Is that an order, Colonel Daniels?
I cannot believe you're taking a deadly virus and turning it into a family matter.
This is not personal, Sam.
Robbie, look, I can't do this back and forth. Once in your life, take a chance.
You know what, Sam? I did. I married you.
But yes, so she's kind of monitoring to make sure no one else gets sick, and she initially...
ultimately, she didn't believe that anything was going to happen.
No.
Even though he was giving all these warnings of like the worst thing in the world happening, and then suddenly it starts to happen, and she's involved in it.
Essentially, yeah, but it hasn't happened yet. So she's monitoring the situation in Boston, where she thinks is where it's going to be, and then they pass like the 24-hour mark or whatever when nobody else shows any symptoms, and then she goes, "We made it, guys! It's okay." And then all the scientists just like have a paper flinging party.
Yeah, it's like they've just saved Apollo 13.
Yeah, but I just love that really 90s thing of there's this control room all just flinging their papers into the air. Like, who does that?
Yeah, like surely you still need those.
Yeah, that's,
for archiving and stuff, whatever.
All you have to do is pick them up again, yeah. But then as they're doing that, we see the fax machine of doom light up, and it sends an update from California where the pets...
For a minute, I thought that they were going to miss the fax.
Really?
When the fax comes and they're all partying, I was like, did anybody hear that fax? That's an important fax.
Well, Harry, this is the joy of the fax machine. You can't miss a fax because it's a physical object. You can miss the call, but the fax will still be there.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Bring back the fax machine, I say.
No.
Underrated method of communication.
No.
I think we should podcast by fax.
How? Oh, God, no, that'd be really boring.
We just read out each other's thoughts, you know. You send me yours, I'll send you mine.
So we basically just be having a texting conversation.
But really slowly. But with really a lot of wasted paper.
With a lot of wasted paper. And then, what would we be broadcasting that somehow?
We'd still record it via fax. We could send out to our listeners via fax.
So they'd all need fax machines, which doesn't sound achievable.
I'm just saying nobody's doing this, and this feels like a gap in the market.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I am.
But also you are wrong, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so she gets this fax, they get this fax.
That's not going to make the non-extended cut of this episode, is it?
No, that's definitely one just for the Patreons. Enjoy, Julio. So she gets this fax that there has been an outbreak of 15 people in California, and then we see that the pet store owner who got scratched earlier on, he fell sick. He very dramatically collapses onto a shelf full of goldfish tanks, or fish tanks.
Yeah.
And then he goes into cardiac arrest. We get a very dramatic hospital scene where the doctor's like, "God damn it, you're going to live, Rob!" And then we get some like lab technician is taking blood samples after he's died. And in a scene that made me howl with laughter, the lab, just because it escalated so quickly, the lab guy's kind of like half paying attention to his...
Oh, yeah, centrifuge.
The centrifuge for the blood, and half listening to the new Lakers game or whatever.
Yeah.
And then something catches on something, and then the blood just spurts all over his face.
Oh, well, no, he opens the lid to the centrifuge, and without turning it off, without thinking,
yeah,
he goes to grab one of the test tubes, but, they're spinning around at, I don't know how many revs, like maybe hundreds of revs. I don't really know what centrifuges do. Yeah, so it just explodes everywhere, probably, potentially breaks a finger, probably at least cuts open a finger, and sprays loads of blood in his face, all over the room, in his open eyes, in his mouth, and this is like actively diseased blood.
Yeah, and then so he obviously...
I always remember that, because shortly after watching that, I went to a work experience with my sister in her biochemistry lab, and they had centrifuges there, and I used one, and I was terrified of it.
Oh my God, really?
But now they don't make centrifuges that you can still open the lid while it's spinning.
I think that's an improvement.
Yeah, it feels like they should have done that right away. It doesn't feel like that's a difficult thing to build.
Yeah, well, until you don't know until you know, do you?
Like you can't open a washing machine when it's still spinning, can you?
Good point, yeah. But I'm sure somebody did, and that's when they decided we need a better door for these washing machines.
Yeah, I guess.
We need idiot-proof locking washing machines, and I need idiot-proof centrifuges. So
yeah,
that's technology, baby. But yeah, he's understandably quite concerned. But then the chief medical guy at his hospital is like, "You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Take your girlfriend out for a nice meal." So he does. They go to the cinema to watch something, and then he's just coughing and hacking and wheezing all over the cinema. We get the classic like green cloud of doom passing all over the different punters watching the film, and he staggers out all sweaty, and he just shoves his way through this giant queue of people, just heavy breathing on all of them, collapses to the ground, cries out water, and then he also very rapidly dies.
Yes.
And this happens in a little town called Cedar Falls, I think, which then becomes like the epicenter of the disease.
Yeah.
Because I guess that the ones who died in Boston, Jimbo and his girlfriend, it just didn't pass on.
No, I think that one, it hadn't yet mutated.
Okay.
So
between them and
because
him,
the one of the guy in the cinema, by that point it had mutated to become airborne.
that's the thing, yeah, because then they are operating under the assumption that it's not airborne, so that if they just isolate people and don't let them touch each other, then it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But then someone in the same wing of the hospital gets it, who's not had any contact, and then they realise it's in the air vents. And yes, so it's gone airborne.
That was the scene I didn't need.
I don't think that's how it works.
Dustin Hoffman working out that, wait a minute, this room's got an air vent in it. And then there's a CGI camera going through the air vents, like a rat or something. And then you come through and you see Dustin Hoffman appear in the ward, look up. This room's got an air vent as well.
He connected the dots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't need that.
This film leaves nothing to chance in terms of subtlety. It really makes sure you know. Apparently, so this is when they figure out that there has been a mutation of the virus that they first discovered, and there's now, and this is where the film weirdly just gets needlessly complicated, I think. So now there's two strands of it. There is the non-airborne version, the original, and there is also the airborne version, which is now sweeping through this town essentially and killing people at a massive rate. So Dustin Hoffman tells Morgan Freeman, who races over to the town and tries to use the vaccine that he has had all along. He's had a vaccine for the non-airborne one the whole time. And this is when Dustin Hoffman realises the American government are using this disease as a biological weapon. So, yeah, the original virus, when they nuked the town back in the 60s, when they took that soldier's blood, that was because they wanted a sample of the virus that they could use as a weapon that they've had on lockdown ever since, and now they've developed a vaccine to that, but this vaccine doesn't work for this new strand that's killing all the people in Cedar Falls. Yeah, that's right. A little bit complicated, but essentially that's where we're at here.
Yeah.
So Dustin Hoffman realises now that there's some kind of weird cover-up with the military and they're involved in this somehow. Meanwhile, he's still trying to figure out how to get a cure, isn't he? Or he's trying to trace the... Let me just look at my notes. This was complicated. Oh, that's... Okay, so it's spreading through the town. The town goes into military lockdown. We meet Donald Sutherland, who is, I guess, our villain of the film. He's got the haircut of pure villainy. He's your classic villainous army major. And he's just all about incinerating the town. He's like he just wants to watch the world burn. I think He immediately goes to, right, okay, we've got a viral outbreak. Just burn them all. Just burn the whole town.
Bomb it down.
He has no room for any other options. It's just like, no, burn it, burn them all. And bear in mind, this is like American soil. This is American citizens. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but this is his answer, and he's sticking to it. Meanwhile, the army roll into this town to kind of control the spread, to make sure it doesn't spread beyond this small town. So it goes into complete lockdown. It's a little bit hauntingly familiar, and people do not take this very well at all. They start to immediately panic, and we get some great scenes of some local yokels trying to drive out of the town.
Local yokels.
They were full yokels. They had mullets. These people had mullets. They were giving it full... They had shotguns and mullets. They were giving it full yokel.
Yeah, sure.
They were trying to drive out past the quarantine zone and get out of Dodge, basically. And then there's the whole standoff where they start shooting at the helicopter, and the helicopter just blows them up. It's madness. Yeah,
it was very intense. And they're followed by another family, another truck that's got like two parents and two kids in it. And I don't know, I found that very intense as well. Just like when they get stopped by the army, just... The car in front of them has literally just been blown up with people inside it, with civilians inside it. Yeah. This family just gets stopped. There's men pointing guns at them and everything. The parents are holding the kids are both crying. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, that's what you deserve that.
Yeah, they got everything they deserved, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you were warned.
Gotta get to the trees!
Halt your vehicles. Halt your vehicles and dismount.
Shit! They're bluffing. Keep going, keep going!
You have entered a restricted area. We will fire. This is your last warning.
Damn! Jesus Christ, they're shooting! Damn it, people, there's no place to go. Go, go, go! We're almost there! What the hell are they trying to do?
Yeah, so Dustin Hoffman is trying to figure out, he needs to find out where this disease originated. He needs to find that kind of the patient zero kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's tracing it back and tracing it back. Meanwhile, Rene Russo and Kevin Spacey, they both get infected, so that adds a little bit of tension.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kevin Spacey gets infected in a very silly way, where he just rips his hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of foreshadowed earlier at one point when Dustin Hoffman's putting his hazmat suit on. I think it was him.
With these hazmat suits made out of crepe paper, they seem to just rip at the drop of a hat. You'd think they'd be pretty sturdy.
Yeah, because like in an earlier scene, I think Dustin Hoffman's putting his suit on, and then I think it's Kevin Spacey says, "Oh my god, your sleeve's ripped."
Yeah.
And then he puts a single sheet of duct tape on it, and that's it. If duct tape
Like
can't
Dwayne The
fix
Rock
it,
Johnson
well,
said,
yeah. But at this point, they're literally in a room where the walls are covered in hazmat suits. Like behind them, there is a row of hooks with hazmat suits on it. If your hazmat suit has a rip in it and you're dealing with a potentially world-ending virus, just get a new hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Just put on a new one. That's one thing I noticed in Contagion last week was that before putting the hazmat suits on, they would inflate them and check, like, is this thing airtight?
Yeah.
Which, you know, was a good little detail that I'm glad that they included. This one, no, just like, just cover yourself in duct tape, that'll probably do it.
Well, maybe, like washing machines and centrifuges, they invented this feature of, you know, inflating them because too many stupid scientists were just tearing them by walking away without unhooking themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they decided, you know what, we're going to do this inflation test and we're going to stop making our hazmat suits out of crepe paper.
Yeah.
It's just not hardy enough, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kevin Spacey gets infected. He goes downhill very rapidly. And then Rene Russo is trying to give him an injection to calm him down, like a sedative, and her finger slips or something. Or no, he's like hemorrhaging so hard, he's convulsing so hard. Sorry,
That's it. Yeah.
that she accidentally slices through her gloves, which are also made of crepe paper, I guess, and cuts her finger, and then she's also infected.
Yeah, she essentially injects herself with the same needle she was just injecting him with.
Yeah, so she's also pretty much a goner soon. So now everyone Dustin Hoffman loves has essentially got this disease. So he's racing against time.
Yeah.
So him and Cuba Gooding Jr., they jump in a
This is
helicopter.
the best bit of the film.
The crappy jump onto the boat.
It's just when Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr. just go and run some errands in a helicopter.
Yeah. For like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it really does go on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So good.
Don't look like airborne scavenger hunts.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. And then, of course, that culminates in a helicopter chase. There was a really good action scene.
Yeah, well, first of all, they fly out to a Chinese boat.
Yes. Well, they found out where the monkey came from.
That's it, yes. They trace the monkey back to the pet store and then find out it was smuggled.
Yeah, they have to go into some office somewhere and say, like, oh, what do they say? Like, hey, I'm with disease control.
Yeah.
And they have to shout it just to get themselves to the front of the line. Just like, hey, I'm with disease control. I was just wearing a hazmat suit. I might be diseased. Stay away from me. And, like, it just works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Dustin Hoffman chats somebody up and she gives him some papers. Surely you've got something to say about that, John.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll say one of my drinking games is for, like, one scene characters really going for it. But, I mean, she really... There was so much in this film, but she is the peak of that. Mrs. Pananinas, she was called. Yeah, Mrs. Pananinas. Mrs. Panini. Yeah, no, she was taking every second of that scene. That she has, like, all of 2 lines in the film. She's like, I know a guy on Coast Guard. How well do you know him? better than his wife would have liked.
Yeah.
What a dirty bitch. She was great.
Yeah, she was good.
Oh, I was like, I recognise that woman and I don't know where from. And I looked it up. So this film was directed by a guy called Wolfgang Pietersen, who also directed, the next film we did after this was Air Force One. Makes sense.
Not a big surprise.
Very similar tone, these films. And she was the lady in Air Force One who...
Wait, was she Glenn Close?
No, she was not Glenn Close, no. Such a transformative actress. She's a chameleon. No, she was my favourite supporting character in that film when... Do you remember the bit where Harrison Ford phones the White House from a public line from the airport to try and complain, and he's like, I'm the President of the United States, you need to put me in touch with the Secretary of State, and she's like, yeah, and I'm the First Lady, bitch. Or, she was the sassy receptionist.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
She definitely has a type, that lady.
Yeah.
Who she played. She's classic character actress type, so...
Yeah.
But, yeah, so they then end up flying the helicopter to this Chinese boat that's on the ocean somewhere, and that's when we get the amazing... Truly, I think, of all the crappy action movies I've ever seen, it is the crappiest action jump from a helicopter I've ever seen in my life.
They could have done, like, a wider shot where you could see, like... Okay, if he fall, you've got like a 20-meter drop underneath him.
I could make that
cold,
jump.
Choppy water, and there's so much build up to this jump, and it's nothing. They could have had it that like the helicopter blades very close to cutting through ropes, and like maybe it does cut through a rope or two. And Cuba Gooding Jr. goes, "Whoa, that was too close," or something, and so he has to do it like I don't know. Maybe they should have done like a running jump where like he can only make it, but Cuba Gooding Jr. needs to like fly at the boat really fast. So he has, like, momentum, and then, like, pull up at the last minute just as Dustin Hoffman jumps out. That'd be a good jump, and that'd be a stupid piece of action. It'd suit this really well. But this was so underwhelming.
I could have made the jump that Dustin Hoffman makes in the scene. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, it just floats. It's just the helicopter just kind of floats right next to it, and he just kind of goes, oop, and he just pops over. Like, I can only assume, I don't know, they should have just used a stunt double, like you said, but I can only assume it's because Dustin Hoffman at this point, I mean, he's never been really an action kind of guy, but also he already was like pushing 70 at this point. He's like 82 now, so he was already like, in his early to mid 60s.
Yeah.
So I just think he wasn't able to do much more of a jump than that.
Yeah, I guess.
Because this movie was actually supposed to star Harrison Ford.
Oh, right, okay.
And he couldn't make the time work or something, and so Dustin Hoffman came on quite late. And I feel like this film is more of a Harrison Ford film than a Dustin Hoffman film.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it would have just had that little veneer of like cool, whereas Dustin Hoffman's just a bit grumpy.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not really engaged with this kind of material very much. Like, he's fine, but he's not the most fun in this film.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Harrison Ford would have been a bit more, charismatic, and he would have made the jumps. He would have definitely done some of those stunts. So
yeah.
Anyway, so he does that, and then through that they find out that the monkey was smuggled in from... they found out it was a monkey, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they found out that this boat was used to smuggle monkeys, and then so they go back to America, break into a TV studio, and like interrupt a live broadcast to the news, and like, look, if anyone in this town has seen a monkey... it's this monkey. It looks like this, and they hold up a picture of a monkey.
I loved it because it was so ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. And then just to add to the ridiculousness, then we cut to suburban mom, like who's like just making a pie, just doing suburban mom stuff. She's got plates in both hands, and she looks at the fridge, and she sees her daughter's drawn a really crappy little hand-drawn picture.
Very crude drawing.
Of a monkey, and then she just looks out the window and sees her little girl wandering into the garden, and then she just fully screams, flings both dishes into the air, and just... If you have time, go back, not now, but when you finish this, go back and just watch the way she exits the frame in that scene. It is one of the funniest things I've seen in ages. She goes, whoa, and just screams, runs off, and it's just hilarious. One of my favourite moments in this film.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls them up, then they go to Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr. fly off to her house, I guess, and then there's a whole rigmarole where they have to shoot the monkey.
Mm-hmm.
They have to tranquilize the monkey, so they need to get they find out the monkey is like in the area since Patrick Dempsey released it into the wild. It's kind of living in this wood outside at the bottom of the garden, and the only person it will come close to is this little girl.
Yeah.
So there's this great, supposed to be tense, actually fucking hilarious scene where the little girl's crying out for the monkey, trying to coax the monkey. Cuba Gooding Jr. is fully hiding behind a tree with this like tranquilizer gun, just like ready to shoot this monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Dustin Hoffman and the mom are just like at the window, like just being very serious and being like, "Oh my god, oh my god." So there's a whole very tense scene. He almost shoots the little girl, but he doesn't, and I really hoped he was going to. Like,
Oh yeah, could have been awful.
I mean, it's a trank. It would have just knocked her out. It would have been super funny. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't going to kill her. But no, I mean, if it doesn't kill the monkey, it's not going to kill a 8-year-old girl.
No.
But anyway, ultimately, Cuba Gooding Jr., he gets his action shot, he shoots the monkey, and we get some good monkey acting. The monkey proper, like, swoons and faints. Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
This was a well-trained monkey.
Well, it's Marcel. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I would genuinely say the two monkeys in this film maybe give the best performances. Because the human actors are all pretty meh.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The monkeys are really giving me, like, drama and face and reactions, so...
Yeah.
Can you tell me which camera to talk into?
Right there.
All right. My name is Colonel Sam Daniels. I'm here with Major Salt. We are not infected with the Motaba virus, but many other people are. We have identified the animal carrying the virus, and we need your help in finding it. The animal that's carrying the Motaba virus is a monkey. This is a photo of the animal. Can you get in close, please? Can you get a shot of it, please? Somebody get in as close as you can. It's a small monkey about the size of a cat. It has a white face. It has dark fur running down its back. Please do not attempt to capture it yourself. Don't even go near it. What you can do is, if you see this monkey, call this number at the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. The area code is 404, and it's 555-9653. Again, if you see this monkey, do not go near it. Do not...
Anyway, so then they have to fly the monkey back to the Cedar Falls, the town, and this is when we get the helicopter chase, because this is when Donald Sutherland is like, these must be stopped. They must not get back to the village with this antidote.
Oh, this is when he just goes full villain, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100% villainy at this point.
Yeah, because like he doesn't even care for like rules or anything. He's just like, just kill them.
Yeah, he's like, Dustin Hoffman's like, we've got the antidote. He's like, ignore that, just kill him. Like,
yeah,
what's Donald Sutherland's motivation here? I didn't quite understand.
He wants to be right.
And he just has to be correct. Yeah.
And he doesn't want somebody with a lower rank than him proving him wrong.
Okay, sure. And for that, he's willing to nuke an entire town.
Yes, even though that'll probably mean that the virus is still out there somewhere in the country.
Yeah, pretty much. Not really thought it through, has he?
No. And like, even as chemical weapons go, you still would like a vaccine.
Yeah.
Because like, surely he would realise, like, this could literally take over the whole world if there's no vaccine. And using the science that's in this film, you can only make a vaccine from the source monkey.
Oh, yeah. Is that can't be right, is it? That can't be
well, you know what? I have no idea. But
No.
I'm very sure that is not just the case.
Yeah, why not just use any... I'd forgot about that, but yeah, that is ridiculous.
Well, there is something to be said for finding patient zero.
Sure, okay.
I don't know what that something is, but...
But it's not that the monkey's blood just becomes the antidote.
In this it does.
In this it does, yeah. That is precisely what happens.
Yeah.
So they have this whole helicopter fight, like dog fight. It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr. manages to fly them away, get them to the village in time. They race in. Rene Russo is like, Kevin Spacey's dead. He's gone. He went full Walking Dead.
Do we actually see him die?
No, we don't see him die. We see him like at death's door when Rene Russo is like saying goodbye to him, and he's got the ridiculous. He just caked in. It's like they've thrown a bag of flour over him, and then sprinkled some mixed nuts. Just to look like welts. That's basically what they've done to him. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rene Russo, she's now on death's door, but Dustin Hoffman, he runs in and he's like, "I've got the cure. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me."
Mm-hmm.
And they can develop this cure from the monkey's blood in 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It really reminded me of that throwaway quote from Contagion when they're like, well, when they explain away, it's like the opposite of that, where they explain away the fact that they can't use Matt Damon's blood to create a vaccine. They're like, well, that takes years and it's very expensive. In this film, it takes 5 minutes, totally free.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they create the antidote. But Rene Russo, she's just on the brink of death. So what does Dustin Hoffman do? He bravely takes off his hazmat suit, grabs her by the hand, puts a sweaty, clammy, disease hand right up to his mouth, and he's like, for some reason, that gives her the will to live.
Well, he's just trying to, stop her from going to sleep, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she just says, "I just want to touch your face." And so he's like, "Okay, well, either I'm going to die from this bomb in a couple hours, or we're going to have a cure in a few hours. So, may as well just take my suit off and here's my face.
Yeah.
Wipe it."
So she gets preferential treatment. Obviously, she's the first one to get the antidote.
Yeah.
She's fine. But then it turns out that, shock horror, even though the antidote is now working, Donald Sutherland is not letting this go. He still wants to nuke this town.
Yes.
So they have to get back in the helicopter again. Have another...
Which is absurd that nobody has caught them yet.
No, they're just running back and forwards. This town is under martial law, and they're just hopping in and out of the helicopter like it's a fucking Uber taxi.
Yeah. It's crazy they haven't been caught.
No. So they go back in the air, have another helicopter standoff while the bomber jet is flying into town to nuke the town. And Dustin Hoffman gives this whole rousing speech to the bomber guys who they're just like soldiers. He's like, come on guys, don't listen to him. We've got the antidote. You don't want to do this. He kind of talks them down. Donald Sutherland's on the other end of the call being like, he's kind of saying, don't listen to him. He's got a psychosis. You've got to finish the mission. And it's this very tense moment. Morgan Freeman's there having his Darth Vader kind of crisis of conscience. You know, Palpatine's on the left to him. Dustin Hoffman's is Skywalker on the right. You know. And eventually he decides to do the right thing, and he drops this massive hint. He's like, well, whatever you do, don't get in front of the bomber jet, because then they won't be able to drop it. Yeah. Which seems like something that they could have figured out on their own, but, you know, whatever. So that's what they do. Yeah. So then they get in the way, and they're like, well, if you're going to bomb this town...
But also the sky is big. They could just go slightly to the left, like above, down, whatever. Just, you know... slightly out of each other's flight path. It's not difficult to do. And they get past them very easily. Yeah. It's not much of a blockade. I guess it's enough to show that, like, hey, I'm Dustin Hoffman, I'm willing to give my life for this cause. So pilots, you know, take me seriously.
What they should have done, I think, is they should have had all the soldiers who are on the ground. They've now seen that the antidote works, right? All the people who've been like, watching this town die. They should have had all the helicopters come up in like an I'm Spartacus moment. Like, you're going to have to go through all of us. Yeah. That would have been really cheesy in 90s in a way. Yeah. But no, they're just like, the two soldiers, they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll believe you. And so they drop the bomb, but they accidentally on purpose miscalculate it and just harmlessly nuke the ocean.
Yeah, which they do very close to the town.
Yeah.
Enough that, like, that would have blown out all the windows.
Oh, yeah.
And meaning with that much glass everywhere, that's going to seriously injure and maybe even kill a lot of the residents of that town.
Everyone's deaf now. Everyone's profoundly deaf.
Yeah, there's that. Things like...
sucks to be a dolphin.
The church spire, like, that's going to fall over. You're going to have, like, loads of school fates to buy a new one of those. Mm-hmm. Like, charity fates. It's going to be a rough time for that town.
So this is the end of the film. So they do that. Donald Sutherland gets arrested. You know, Rene Russo recovers. Her and Dustin Hoffman get back together. Thank God. I was so relieved their relationship survives. But then, and that's the end of the film, basically. I really wanted the last shot of the film to be like all that nice stuff wraps up, and then we cut to the town, and all the villagers are stood outside this, like you mentioned, this town that's just been like this sonic boom has just like wiped through the town. And it's just like broken glass, blood, and like bits of dead dolphin and whale and fish and penguin just everywhere, and everyone's just like, what the fuck just happened? That would have been a great like final shot, but this isn't that kind of film.
No.
But it is still pretty silly.
Oh, it's completely silly.
And that's where it ended. So
yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was good silly fun.
Yeah, it was.
Any more thoughts?
Nah, I'm done. Let's do drinking games.
Okay, let's move on to drinking games. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so first up I've got it's an easy one. Drink whenever somebody dies or is implied to die.
Sure, yeah. Just anyone when anyone gets infected, maybe?
That's my next one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, drink for infection, sure. Okay, my first one is drink for medical malpractice.
Oh, yeah.
Just every time a doctor or any kind of medical or scientific professional in this film just behaves appallingly by like removing a hazmat suit in the middle of the room or while leaving a room. Mm-hmm. Mr. Centrifuge guy just listening to a match and just spraying himself with blood, and then the other doctor telling him, just go on a date with your girlfriend, it's fine, go to a public place. Don't quarantine yourself, you're fine. Yeah,
oh god, that was ridiculous.
Dustin Hoffman obviously just taking for granted that Cuba Gooding Jr. is not infected when they go to the camp in Africa, and just being like, not quarantining him at all.
Just fixing a hazmat suit with duct tape.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned if you hadn't freaked out.
Yeah,
that's what he says. It's like, no, that's wrong. He should be better than this. This is a training issue.
Okay, next drink I've got. Drink whenever anybody gives an order.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
And then double drink if the order later gets ignored.
Yes. Lots of Donald Sutherland. Oh, another great line I got when Donald Sutherland finds out that Dustin Hoffman has left the town. He's gone on his helicopter scavenger hunt with Cuba Gooding Jr. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me? You were asleep, sir. I'm never that asleep."
Yeah.
Also, why was he asleep?
I like how they built this rivalry with like him and just like this slightly lower guy.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was only in it for like 2 scenes. But you had a whole plot in those scenes.
Yeah.
Like, he was introduced, he was shown as being bullied by Donald Sutherland,
Mm-hmm.
and then he got his comeuppance at the end.
Yeah, because Donald Sutherland's like, "You're never going to make General Colonel, not after this," and then he's the one who arrests him at the end. He's like, "Well, I bet this is the happiest day of your life," and he gets a big. I don't think he even gets that many lines. He just smirks a lot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my favourite drinking game. I mentioned it before. Drink every time a supporting character seizes the moment.
Ah, yeah.
There were so many, like, one-scene characters who just went to 11 in this movie. It was great. So, obviously, Mrs. Pananinas is the classic, given as our sassy admin worker. Mm-hmm. Also, the ER doctor, when the pet store guy, when he goes into his convulsions and he's like, "God damn it, you're going to live!" And he starts shouting all kinds of stuff. It's great. Also, White House guy. You know, in the scene at the White House, we never meet the president, which I was disappointed by.
Yeah.
But that one guy who's giving that speech, like, "I want you to look at these people, look at them, they should be haunting your nightmares for the rest of your life."
He was
like,
really going for it, that guy.
he was fully like, "I'm going to win an Oscar for this scene." Like,
I would have loved it if at the end of that scene, someone was just like, "Okay, Mr. President, yes, we will do that."
yeah.
Just like, that was the president? That would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been a good reveal. Yeah, sadly
Yeah.
not. And finally, I also noticed that similarly really going for like an Oscar nomination that was never going to happen was Jimbo's girlfriend, Patrick Dempsey's girlfriend.
He's dead, isn't he?
Oh,
Oh!
for the love of God, say something, Jimbo! Say something, please! Jimbo, not my Jimbo! Oh, Jim.
I hate that he was called Jimbo.
Oh, I know.
Oh, it's the worst thing anybody called James can ever do to themselves.
He was also dressed like Jimbo from The Simpsons. It was...
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Any more?
Nah, I'm done.
Okay, I had 2 more. Well, a few more. Drink for helicopters.
Yeah.
Just a lot of them. Drink for mullets. This is a very mullet-heavy movie. I had no idea the mullet lasted until 1995, but it's everywhere in this movie. And finally, just for the last scene of the film only, or the last fight, the helicopter fight, drink for the word Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
Every time Donald Sutherland's like, "Sandman, Sandman, Sandman." If you take a drink every time he says that, you will finish this film hammered.
Probably also say the same for Clean Sweep.
Yes.
Which, by the way, as a code name, it's not particularly subtle, is it?
No, it kind of gives itself away.
Yeah. Overall, it's a great film, innit?
Overall, 10 out of 10, perfect movie, yeah.
I highly recommend this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, before we get to sequels, listeners, just want to let you know that we are available on patreon.com, where, if you feel like it, you can support us for as much or as little as you think we're worth. If you do, you get a few bonus things. Mainly, you get a bonus show, where just about weekly, me and John, we do film reviews, basically. They're not very long, they're about 10, 20 minutes, mostly near the 10-minute mark. Some are a bit longer.
Yeah, depends what we're seeing, how much we have to say about it.
Yeah, basically.
Sometimes we care more than others, yeah.
Yeah. We're taking requests to what to review now. We were doing cinema stuff, but obviously not anymore. So, yeah, we'll do anything that's on streaming services, basically.
Yeah, so if you're kind of on the fence about getting onto the whole Patreon thing, you can literally pay us to watch anything within reason. Within reason. We're not watching any snuff films. If it's a TV show, we'll watch like the first episode. We're not going to watch full seasons, but we will review anything for you while this pandemic is on. So hit us up for as little as £2 a month, £2 a month. We'll review anything.
Yeah.
We'll give anything a go. So yeah. What do you want us to review?
Also, you get a few more things than just the bonus show, but the bonus show is good enough anyway.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Even great. So what more do you want?
You get extended versions of the main show.
Mm-hmm.
You also get a 30-second advert slot if you want to. You can promote your own podcast, your own business, whatever you want, and that'll appear on the main show once a month per person.
Mm-hmm.
And also on the main show, every now and then, we do Patreon episodes. Basically, a Patreon chooses the episode for us. You can come and guest on it if you want to, but you don't have to. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And all that and more is available at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
Indeed.
Bonjour tout le monde, I'm Finn, and every Tuesday I host a podcast called Passport People, in which I talk to people from around the world about the places that matter to them. What is so special about each location? What makes each place tick? Where are they headed? To join us on our round-the-world trip, talking to a diverse range of fascinating people from an incredible variety of professional and cultural backgrounds, search for Passport People in Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so who wants to go first? You or me?
I can go first if you want.
Yes, because I went first last week. Great.
Okay, sure.
Go for it.
So, my sequel this week, I was thinking it's kind of inspired by a movie I saw as a child that really, much like this with you, a movie I saw. Where are you going?
Oh, I'm just sorry. I'm just getting comfy in bed.
You're going horizontal?
Yeah. Well, a bit more horizontal, yeah.
Okay, fine. You good?
Yeah, I need to pay less attention now. I might turn the light off. Oh, yeah.
Fuck you.
What, you can give me a little bedtime story?
Alright, well, fine. If you fall asleep, I swear to God.
Yeah.
So, okay, are you sitting comfortably? Well, clearly you are, so I should begin. Once upon a time. Actually, no, this is kind of a children's story in a way, because this is much like you...
Have you turned Outbreak into a kids' movie?
Kind of, yeah. So
great.
it's inspired by a movie I saw when I was a kid that really traumatized me, a movie called The Plague Dogs.
Never heard of it.
So it's kind of from the same people who made Watership Down. Mm-hmm. And it makes Watership Down look like the Teletubbies. It is truly horrific. I don't know how it even remotely qualifies as a children's movie, if indeed it does. But
no, is it on Disney Plus?
No, I don't think it's a Disney movie. I'd be very surprised if it was on Disney Plus. I think it was like a BBC thing, but anyway, it's definitely British. But so the plot of The Plague Dogs is, you'll see why I made the connection to Outbreak. It's about two dogs in a animal testing facility, and they escape the animal testing facility. It's a cartoon. They escape the animal testing facility, but they don't know that they are carrying a plague that is potentially deadly to humans.
Yeah.
So the army is immediately dispatched to kind of hunt them down immediately. Like, it's a huge crisis, basically. But these two dogs don't know that. They're just innocent dogs, and they're just like trying to find love. They're both kind of damaged because they've had like lots of horrible tests done on them, and one of them's had like got like screws in his brain. It's truly disturbing. And these two dogs keep looking for love, and every time they try and meet a human, it all just goes horribly wrong. And it's bleak as fuck. And spoiler alert: at the end, they both die.
Wow.
It is a truly horrendous, upsetting piece of cinema. So I was thinking, very similar could be done with this film.
Okay. So it's the story of the monkeys, then?
It is the story of the monkeys, of course, yeah.
Have you got a title for it, or does that come later?
Well, okay, so the best title I could think of is Outbreak 2, Proboscis Negative.
Okay.
I was trying to think of like a monkey species. I don't think these were proboscis because they're the ones that have noses that looks like giant cocks. But you know, I was just thinking.
I know exactly what you mean, but
yeah. But you know, what species of monkey has a name that sounds vaguely medical? So yeah, this is Outbreak 2, Proboscis Negative. Okay. So it is based heavily on The Plague Dogs with a twist of like Disney Pixar in there as well. It's about an adolescent monkey princess who dreams of living beyond the jungle. So you know, classic Disney setup. You've got your animated monkey. It could be CGI, whatever, voiced by some current pop princess, maybe like Ariana Grande or something. You know, someone appropriate. I don't know, or I don't know who else is big at the moment. What are the kids listening to? Billie Eilish. Oh yeah, a monkey voiced by Billie Eilish. Perfect. A Disney princess voiced by Billie Eilish. That's perfect because she's like really depressive, isn't she? Like, you know, song wise, her songs are a bit bleak, and so maybe this could be like a really depressing version of like a Disney princess movie. So she's like the princess of the jungle. Her mum and dad are like the king and queen monkeys. Yeah. But she dreams of living a life outside the jungle and, you know, seeing the wider world. You know, classic Disney setup like that. But her parents always warn her above all else to stay clear of humans. Humans are not to be trusted. They are very dangerous. And most of this fear comes from the legend of the Great Rain of Fire that devastated their kingdom many generations ago. Yeah. Because, you know, at the beginning, in the 60s, when the bomb gets dropped on the infected village, you see all the monkeys running away from the fire. So presumably there were some monkey casualties there too. So it's like, these humans be crazy. Where humans are, fire and destruction follows. So stay away from humans, whatever happens. Yep. So she doesn't really pay attention to that. She's very fascinated by humans. She kind of romanticizes them. It's a bit like Ariel in The Little Mermaid, how she, you know, that kind of whole thing. Yeah. I'm feeling very classic Disney in that way. So one day she She's wandering through the jungle, probably singing some song about how she wishes she could live life outside the jungle. There'll be a classic soundtrack. I've not pitched any titles, but you know how it goes. But while she's swinging through the forest with whatever her cute animated sidekicks are going to be, maybe I don't know what would a monkey's sidekick be if it's an animated film? So we've got Monkey Princess.
That's a difficult one, actually.
Maybe one of her
is normally the
fleas.
sidekick.
Yeah, maybe her fleas are her sidekicks.
Yeah. Sort of like a Jiminy Cricket kind of thing.
Sure, yeah.
Like I'm your conscience.
Maybe, yeah, or maybe they're just her pals.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Monkeys don't really hang out with other animals that much.
No, they don't. And like they're normally, because they're small anyway. Like they don't normally have something.
They are classic sidekicks, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say it's the fleas, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The sidekicks don't play a major role in this.
Maybe
But,
maybe it is the fleas, but it's like loads of fleas that can kind of come together and form shapes.
Ooh, okay. They're like a collective conscience.
Yeah. Do you remember the fish in Finding Nemo? Like the school of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or like
okay.
in Rick and Morty, that ants creature, 1,000 ants.
Yes,
1,000,000
I
ants,
like it.
whatever. That
Yeah,
sort of thing.
that works. Okay, I like that. That's entirely what it is. Perfect. So she's swinging through the jungle, singing some Disney crap about, wishing she could see the wider world, and she encounters a little human girl from the village, who's wandered into the jungle and got lost.
Yeah.
And so our monkey princess, who I've not named, I mean, she's called Betsy once she goes to America, but let's just call her Betsy for lack of confusion.
Yeah.
So Princess Betsy, she finds this human girl, and she's obviously fascinated. It's her first time seeing a human. She's never been allowed near the village before, and so she spots her and they interact. They find a way to communicate. I'm thinking like a nice little scene where they can touch fingers and all that kind of stuff. And they become friends. They strike up an immediate connection, basically. And so she's fascinated. But just as they are making this connection, the little girl's older brother comes running into the jungle to find her. Obviously, he's been sent in to get her back, and immediately tries to shoo Betsy away. He's like, "Get away from my sister, you dirty ape, whatever." So he's
damn dirty ape.
You damn dirty ape. You damn dirty ape. So this older brother shoos Betsy away. In doing that, he accidentally disturbs a cloud of vampire bats who are nesting nearby, and they immediately start attacking him and the little girl. They start scratching and biting at them, and Betsy swings into action, helps to fight them off, saves the day, and the vampire bats fly away. And so now she's proven that she's a good person. She's a good monkey. The boy and the girl thank her, and then they go back to the village. Betsy has also been bitten by the vampire bats in the process, but she feels a little bit woozy, but she recovers. She doesn't have any particular ill effects.
Yeah.
So the little girl and her older brother, they thank her and they go back to the village, and Betsy goes back to the monkey kingdom and she tells everyone, "Oh, I met a human, it's amazing." And then her mum and dad fully put the foot down, like, "No, you must never see her again, you must never see her again." Again, standard basic Little Mermaid plot. I'm really just doing that at this point. It moves on. Then the next day, of course, what does she do? She breaks the rules. She goes back to the human village to kind of see the little girl again. So she's really excited. But when she gets there, what does she find? A village full of corpses.
Oh, well.
The disease has swept through the village. Everyone's dead. The little girl, the brother, everyone. This entire village is just wiped out.
Oh.
So obviously she's very horrified and traumatized, and she races away into the jungle, screaming and crying and confused, whatever. And as she's racing through the jungle, she's not paying attention, runs into a smuggler net.
Great.
Ends up on a boat, in a cage, en route to America.
Oh.
So as you probably gathered, what I'm kind of going with here is that it's basically the plot of the original film, but from the perspective of the monkey, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's much like what happens in this horrible film, The Plague Dogs. Every time she meets a human, she befriends it, and then the human ends up dead. So it's a very dark Disney movie, if it is indeed a Disney movie. Yeah. So obviously then there's going to be Patrick Dempsey, Jimbo, who, he's quite kind to her, as much as he's trying to sell her. He's treats her pretty nicely, and she bonds with him as well, and then they have that little moment in the car when she's playfully spitting water at him because she doesn't know she's contagious. So she accidentally scratches the pet store guy when he handles her too roughly and whatever. So then Patrick Dempsey kind of releases her into the wild, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, I'll never forget you." Little does she know, within an hour he dead. And then so she spends some time in the wild forests of California. Maybe she runs into like a friendly bear or something, or a not so friendly bear. I don't know. She's out of her element. But ultimately she ends up knocking at the window of this other little girl who reminds her of the little girl from the village. And that's the little girl, obviously, who befriends the monkey in the film, who inadvertently saves the day. And yeah, so she befriends this little girl. She's really scared that what happened before is going to happen again. So she's like, she doesn't know that she's contagious, but she's really nervous. She doesn't know why this keeps happening to her, but she's just learning to trust again. She's just very tentatively learning to trust this little girl again.
Yeah.
And so she starts to really believe that she's got a true friend now. Maybe she's finally found a home. Next thing she knows, she gets shot.
Aww.
With a trank.
Oh, poor monkey.
Next thing, she comes around. She's in a helicopter. This is new. She doesn't know what this is. There's some kind of dog fight happening.
Yeah.
She's, don't imagine that from this confused, bewildered monkey's perspective. Getting flown all over the place. She's never flown before. She doesn't know what's going on. And then she survives that. She gets taken to the town, Cedar Valley. She gets her blood gets drained out of her. She gets, and then they create the vaccine. But she doesn't know. And yeah, I mean, I guess what the big question is, what happens to her at the end? Because we never find out what happens to Betsy at the end of the film.
No.
I mean, realistically, she probably ends up in either dead or in a animal testing facility.
Realistically, I think they'll probably put her down and cremate her body.
Yeah. So, and which is in the Plague Dogs, what happens is the dogs, they're running, they're on the run. There's a horrible scene where the dogs find a friendly farmer who doesn't know that they're plague dogs, and he's like out with he's got like a gun, like he's out shooting grouse or whatever, just typical farmer stuff. And he's like, here boy, here boy, here boy. And one of the dogs like runs up to this farmer like to jump up and lick him. Jumps up to the farmer, accidentally hits his paw on the gun, shoots the farmer in the head.
Oh my god!
This is a children's movie. I'll send you clips. It's truly horrifying.
Please don't.
Okay. But at the end of the Plague Dogs, the dogs end up trapped. They get cornered. They end up on the beach. That's it. They're on the beach and they can't. There's nowhere to go. And the army have like surrounded the beach. And the dogs swim out into the sea. And the film just ends with them swimming out into the sea towards the sun. And they think the sun is an island that they can get to because they're dogs and they're naive. And the film literally ends with them drowning. And that's the end of the film.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, this film I should not have watched. This film truly upset me when I was a child.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. God, I'm never watching this.
No, it's really horrid. But yes, I don't know what we could give it. Should something similar happen to the monkey? Maybe she thinks she's found a forever home. She's getting driven back with Cuba Gooding Jr., who she's learned to trust because he's really nice. And she's like, he'll take care of me. I trust him. And then at the end of the film, we just see see Cuba Gooding Jr. hand over her cage to the exterminators. And then boom, credits roll. And that's the end of poor Betsy.
I thought of something a bit darker as well, kind of based
Go on.
off what you just said. So, like, near the end of the original film, they get her blood or whatever, they get her vaccine, and they just, I don't know, maybe they just let her go, like, hey, she's not diseased anymore, it's fine, we can just let this monkey go.
Sure.
And so
irresponsible, but sure.
And so then her thing is to just run to the sea for whatever reason, and then she sees the sun setting, and she thinks that's an island. She swims out to sea thinking that's an island, and then they get this massive bomb dropped on her.
Oh my god, I thought you were just like lazily copying the Plague Dogs, but no, that is perfect. Yes. That is brilliant. Yeah, there's a whole I've got it. There's a whole Betsy's story continues.
So awful though.
That is awful. Yeah,
it's so bad. It's so contrived as well.
Yeah. So she gets her blood taken. She gets her blood taken out of her. They develop the vaccine. Blah blah blah. And then then she's kind of waiting to be exterminated. They're like, okay, what happens to them? They're like, okay, we've got the vaccine. What do you want us to do with this monkey? Oh my god, take it outside and shoot it and burn the body. Yeah. And then whether she understands that or not, she manages to. She gets wind that things aren't going well. She escapes. The cage has been left unlocked or something. Maybe Cuba Gooding Jr. in a moment of mercy left the cage unlocked for her. Just like, go free, go free. So she jumps out the cage, jumps out the window, like you mentioned, runs to freedom. She doesn't know where to go. There's army soldiers everywhere. She panics. She sees the sun over the horizon of the lake. She swims out. Monkey's never swum before, but she figures it out. She's swimming, she's swimming, and then boom, bomb gets dropped. Betsy is no more. End credits.
Oh dear.
A feel-good classic for all the family.
Yeah.
Pixar's next movie.
Brilliant. So is that your idea then?
Yes, so that was Outbreak 2, Proboscis Negative.
Okay, cool. Very good.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, he's getting up again. He's taking this bit seriously.
Okay, so in mine, we're going to start with a little prologue of the monkey.
Okay. Are you also doing it from the monkey's perspective?
Only for a little bit.
Okay.
So it leaves the little girl's house, indicating that this takes place before the end of the original movie, but during.
Okay.
And there's eerie music playing. Like it's not a happy-go-lucky kids cartoon thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this music builds and builds until eventually we see the monkey doing the worst thing it could possibly do, getting down with another monkey in a zoo.
What, having sex?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So has Betsy been kidnapped, or she just found her way to a zoo?
Just found her way to a zoo.
Okay.
Just like, she's been hanging out with this little girl in the house.
Oh, I see. So this is before
she's been
Cuba
tranquilized.
Gooding Jr. and before she gets caught and becomes the vaccine. It's just in the interim she found a local zoo. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That monkey that monkey at the zoo that she has sex with. Well, he contracts the disease essentially.
Sure.
Yeah. He then, I don't know, maybe he throws his poo at another monkey or whatever.
Great. Yeah.
And infects another monkey, and that monkey then escapes the zoo and gets on a train, and it's all very emotional. Like, it's sad. It's raining. This monkey's being shipped away from home, and they're all alone and very unhappy.
Sorry, how did the monkey get on a train?
You know what? I'm not sure how the monkey got on a train, but the monkey gets on a train.
Is the monkey on a train? Like you said, it escaped. So it's not like the monkey's been put in a crate on a train. It's just like boarded a train.
Yeah, it's escaped the zoo, went to the first place it could find shelter, which was a train. Maybe it was parked up at a time. And then it wakes up and that train's moving somewhere. Now the monkey doesn't know where it is.
Oh, okay. So it's not like he's just boarded the train like a passenger, like with a little, like you wearing human clothes. Like
No.
That was my mental image. No, it thinks it's people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what you're actually telling me is that the monkey, it's like, it falls asleep on like one of those oldie worldy kind of trains that's like carrying like...
freight train.
Freight train, that's what I was looking for, thank you. It falls asleep on a freight train, the freight train moves. Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so the next morning at sunrise, as this monkey wakes up, it doesn't know where it is. It's very confused and, it's lost all its friends and everything like that. We see the train arriving towards the New York City skyline. And we get the title, Outbreak 2, The Virus Takes Manhattan.
Ah, I see where you've found some inspiration here. So, does this monkey, are you giving it a celebrity voice?
Well, we're mostly done with the monkey now.
Oh, okay, fine.
No, it's not the monkey's story.
Okay, fine. So it's just a silent monkey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so 30 years later, by the way, I looked it up, monkeys of this breed, they generally live for about 20 to 40 years. So
okay, so it could still be alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 30 years later or whatever, present day.
90s present day. Oh, no, sorry, that was the 90s. This is the present. Okay, yeah, sure.
So present day 2020.
Okay, I get it. Sorry, I was confused for a moment. Okay.
We are introduced to our main character, who is a army commander known as John Hardman.
John Hardman, great name, yeah.
Played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, excellent. Is that what his name was in Friends?
I have no idea.
Okay, fine.
I made up John Hardman. I thought it was a suitable name.
That is, I mean, it's the ultimate Van Damme name, John Hardman. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he is a commander of a squadron in the army consisting of 3 people. I was thinking to cast Sam Rockwell.
Sure.
Ewan Rayon. And Michael B. Jordan.
All good choices. What accent is Ewan McGregor giving us in this performance?
You misheard me. I said Ewan Rayon, as in Ramsay Bolton.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Ewan McGregor, so you cut out a little bit from him in there. No, Ewan Rayon works too. Okay. What accent is he giving us?
Welsh.
Welsh, okay. He's full Welsh.
Just a strong Welsh accent. Sam Rockwell, he can just do whatever he pleases.
Yeah, just
He's
let
Sam
him go.
Rockwell, he can do it. Michael B. Jordan. Actually, can Michael B. Jordan do accents? I've not seen him in that many things.
I don't know if I've seen him try. But, yeah.
Well, anyway. So they're on a training exercise in a New York barracks where they have to maintain control of a panicking crowd of civilians, which is now common practice after the events of Cedar Creek.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because, quite publicly, there was a big virus outbreak in in California 30 years ago, and so now that's the kind of thing they need to practice.
Absolutely.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is very good at his role, but his three subordinates aren't very good at working as a team. So, bit of rivalries going on, stuff like that. But anyway, we cut away to the main plot of this film, which is an office on the 80th floor of the Empire State Building, where an unnamed man, played by David Schwimmer, comes into work boasting about this new pet monkey that he's bought himself.
In 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody really cares, and it becomes very clear that this unnamed David Schwimmer character, who could be called Ross, who knows, isn't very popular with the office crowd and is a bit of a try-hard nerd.
Ah, okay.
That night, he goes home and clearly gets a bit lonely with the monkey. Not in that way. Not
God,
in that way. But he shares a plate of food with it.
Dear.
Even eating some of the food that the monkey has taken a bite of already.
Oh, David, what are you doing?
I know. Classic Outbreak mistake. The next day, he comes into work sweaty, clearly very ill, though nobody really cares or notices, because nobody sends him home or asks if he's okay. No one really likes him, so,
No. He's one of those just nobody pays any attention to.
Yeah. Like George Costanza's appearance in Friends as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, yeah.
So he goes about his day of work as, let's just say, a transponster. Doesn't really matter. And by lunchtime, he's coughing quite badly and has actually infected the whole floor. During the afternoon, he collapses over by the water cooler. People only notice because the water cooler also falls over and causes a minor flood. Someone calls an ambulance, but by the time the medics get there, the whole floor have agreed that they have come down with something and are all sweating profusely. The medics call it in and they shut down the floor, hoping to contain whatever disease this is.
Ooh, like an Empire State quarantine situation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Just on the 80th floor, though, for now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because in a world where people know about what the Mataba virus was back in the 90s, people are much more ready to just be like, okay, lockdown right now.
Sure, yeah.
Which, it works. The army is called, and of course, who should pick up? None other than John Hardman himself. They are the nearest team to New York, and so they arrive within minutes. They enforce the quarantine of the 80th floor, and command the hospitals to provide all medical equipment and supplies needed to deal with this virus.
He must need a very specialised hazmat suit.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yeah, he's a pretty big guy.
I guess, yeah.
Imagine, it's like The Rock in a hazmat suit. It's just going to look weird.
He's bulging out of it.
Yeah. That's how he gets infected. He's just too jam buff.
He flexes.
Yeah. Not again, Jean-Claude.
Anyway, loads of ambulances arrive downstairs and they fill up the elevators with medical equipment like fold-up beds, the serum from the original film, and better quarantine equipment to seal off the floor. Because meanwhile, the surrounding floors, they've been evacuated, away from them. Up the floors above have been evacuated up, the floors below just evacuating the building. After administrating the serum to the infected a few hours ago, nobody seems to be showing any signs of healing.
Right.
And so Ewan Rayon, who is the most scientific of John Hardman's team, he looks up from his microscope and declares that the virus is mutated.
Oh, not again.
And that he needs to find patient zero to make a new vaccine. So one of the medics...
patient zero is the monkey?
Yeah, one of the medics instructs him that Ross is the furthest along and so likely received the virus before anybody else. Ewan checks Ross's desk and he finds a picture of a pet monkey.
Ross is fully dead now, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Huh?
So anyway, Ewan leaves the building and goes to find Ross's apartment to go and find the monkey. Meantime, back on the 80th floor, a fire alarm goes off. Just one thing after another going on now.
Yeah.
Turns out that a few floors below them, on the 60th floor, a fire has happened.
Are you tying this in with Skyscraper?
Taking inspiration from.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I'm not tying it in, just inspired by. So, standard protocol for such an event is to evacuate everybody, of course. If you can't get below the fire, then you're supposed to go as high in the building as possible and
I see.
wait until the fire department can put out the fire, and then obviously you can leave.
Is that actually what you're supposed to do in a real skyscraper fire situation, or is that just something they did in that film?
I have made this up.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, because that...
it's also not really what happens in Skyscraper, because that's not
true.
a thing. Yeah, so obviously John Hardman can't evacuate his floor up to the top of the building because they're all deadly sick.
Yes.
And there are other people in the building who are being evacuated to the very top and are being slowly evacuated in helicopters one by one. But, that's going to take ages. Yeah, so maybe you get a little bit of montage, Jean-Claude Van Damme doing some maths on a whiteboard, working out the rate that people are leaving the building and the rate that the fire is growing up the building. And we don't have enough time. We don't have enough beds.
If we're having a whiteboard moment, can we have a moment where he angrily throws his cup of coffee at the whiteboard, just as a little homage to the original?
Yeah, sure. So the fire department, they can't contain the flames, and the flames actually spread all the way up to the 65th floor. They're getting closer and closer.
Are we gonna have a countdown of the floors, like in the side of the screen?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Van Damme's other two guys, Sam Rockwell and Michael B. Jordan, they go and try and attack the fire from the top, trying to put it out that way, but it doesn't work. They both get badly burnt. And so now they just need to make the decision: do we evacuate everybody up to the top, or do we just let these people who are potentially going to die just burn to death anyway and get ourselves out? You have to make a very sticky situation, a sticky decision. That's what I've got to so far.
Okay.
I've got a few more little ideas in my head, and I wasn't really sure where to take it.
Okay, so they're up. So the fire is rising upwards, ever upwards.
Yeah,
and are there still people above waiting to be? Is that still happening? They're still
there are still people who are not infected who are being evacuated from the building.
So they're kind of trapped in this one floor, and death is happening all around them, and also the fire is spreading very quickly.
Yeah, if they stay where they are, they'll die in an hour.
Right.
If they get higher, they'll burn to death in a bit longer of a time, but they'll potentially infect other people.
Okay, so I think there should be there isn't really a villain in this film yet. I think there should definitely be a villainous member of the team.
So the villain is going to be Donald Sutherland.
Oh, is it still?
Yep,
okay.
He's back.
Same guy?
Same guy. Yep, he's back. He's bitter about what happened first time. Okay. And so now what he wants to do is he wants to unleash the virus. He initially wanted to unleash the virus to the whole of New York.
Right.
But somehow it got contained to this one building, and so somehow he is behind the fire that is currently pushing this virus out of the building.
Oh, I see.
So what he wants to do is he wants John Hardman to evacuate everybody out of the building into another building so the virus can spread. Okay.
I was thinking it might be that there was a debate about, okay, we've got this deadly virus. Why don't we just leave all these sick people and let this fire burn them out? Let's just let them all die, and the fire will destroy the disease, and then we're all good. It's like a moral thing.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I won't leave these sick people. We can still save them.
Yeah. No man left behind.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking that could work, but I don't know if that would work if Donald Sutherland actively wants people. Maybe it's both. Maybe Donald Sutherland has got that scheme. He's trying to force them into taking these sick people out into the public. Meanwhile, maybe Ewan Rayon, maybe he's like, look, we just need to leave them. They're going to die either way.
Yeah.
Van Damme's under pressure to just leave these people behind, which is actually playing straight into evil Donald Sutherland's hands. But he has to figure out he really doesn't want to leave these people. He has to find an alternative. Maybe one of the victims on this floor was his ex-wife.
Oh, great! Yeah.
Yeah,
that works.
He's not seen her for 20 years, whatever. She's taken a job in the city.
And just by coincidence, it happens to be the floor that gets infected.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe it turns out that when Ewan Rayon goes to Ross's apartment and finds the monkey, he gets the monkey and that's all good and everything. But he does then report back, hey, clearly this guy has been... is a very sad and lonely man who's been bullied a lot by his colleagues.
Sure.
And then Jean-Claude Van Damme's like, maybe these are horrible people.
Maybe they deserve to die.
There's a reason I divorced that woman, and then she got a job here.
Yeah. And then he's like, bye.
Yeah.
He just jumps out, gets his parachute, floats to safety.
Yeah, that
could work. Yeah, just have a weird, like, underwhelming shock ending where it's like, yeah, well, no, they all died. Yeah. Serves them right.
I mean, I guess I've left this two ways, and so you know what, listeners, you can decide yourself. If you were John Hardman, would you let those people burn and die?
I've just thought this entire movie you've described all goes the way you said it is. It's a Bandersnatch.
It's a choose your own adventure.
It's a choose your own ethical dilemma movie.
Yeah. Yep,
starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
And a monkey.
So listeners, you decide.
Yeah.
Do you save the people, but potentially infect, millions?
Mm-hmm.
But there might be a cure. Who knows? But there might not. You don't know. Or you let these 50 people burn to death, and the world is saved.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Yeah.
But anyway, that is Outbreak 2. The virus takes Manhattan.
I like it. I'm really hung up on the idea of it being like a Bandersnatchy choose your own adventure. I think that's like one of those, but for like an action movie would be really fun.
I wish they'd make more of those.
Yeah, I guess it's just a nightmare to edit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd definitely like to see more. I'm sure they'll do it again at some point.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Cool.
Brilliant. Okay. So have you got any listener submissions then?
We do, yes. Do you have any?
No.
You don't? Okay, so do I have any listener submissions is what you were saying?
Yes.
Fortunately, I do. Did you forget to post it, or just nothing came through?
I didn't even try and post it. The last one didn't get approved.
Oh, of course, your place is weird about
Yeah.
virus. Fortunately, our regular listeners are not. So we have a few here. So, sequels to Outbreak. Ben Stevens said, gestures wildly at everything.
Yeah.
Ronald Hamilton said, Outbreak 2, just stay inside. Spotting a theme here.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa Becker said, a bunch of monkeys have to capture an infected human to stop the disease from spreading back to them. So it's like role reversal.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. That's very good, yeah. Robbie Daggett said, Outbreak in 2, infectious boogaloo.
Yeah.
Rachel Jackson said, Outbreak 2, pre-existing condition.
Mm-hmm.
Over on Twitter, at Cinema Adventure Pod, said, the coronavirus a year from now. I want to know how we fix this bullshit. So a movie about the coronavirus set in 2021 when it's all over, hopefully.
Yep, that would help.
Yeah. One Good Thing, at OGT Pod, said, the virus is out of hand. The media's in a frenzy, but one superbly tanned heroic president knows this is a liberal hoax designed to crush the flat earthers once and for all. So, with a gun in one hand and the American eagle in the other, he cuts tax for big business and everything works out just fine. And finally, at Benny2TS said, I don't know, but I want Marcel to feature heavily. So,
of course.
Guess that means he'd like my one.
Yeah.
Well, both ones had monkeys in them, but mine was definitely more monkey heavy. So. Cool. So thank you everybody for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, all of which you can also leave us a 5-star review, which we really appreciate. It really helps us to reach new listeners. As mentioned, we're also available on Patreon, which is exclusively for the people who would rate us more than 5 stars if they could. You can find all those links in the description below, or at our brand spanking new website, beyondtheboxset.com, designed by Harry.
Where you can also find a bunch of pub quizzes.
Yes, our pub quizzes.
One thing to keep you busy while you're cooped up inside. Just, log on. We've got about 20, maybe 21 now, pub quizzes, each 50 questions, and that's a good way to kill, I don't know, an hour at a time maybe.
Yeah, I'm adding to them all the time as well, so keep checking back. So yeah, all that at beyondtheboxset.com. And next week, Harry, we've just watched 2 movies that are, in some ways quite close to the current, situation in the world.
Yes.
Are we going to have something a bit more lightweight next week? A little bit of fun, a little bit of optimism and sunshine in this, disturbing and depressing time.
See, now, as delightful as that sounds,
oh no,
it's not where I've decided to go.
Oh man,
no.
Fine, what are you doing?
Cooped up indoors, and so I thought, why not do probably the most unhealthy thing possible and do a whole theme on horror movies.
Oh joy! Okay.
Something we have not specifically done before.
So just classic horror movies with no sequels, no specific themes, not werewolves or zombies, just anything horror related.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
sure.
We could make it good horror movies or ridiculous horror movies or just a mishmash of everything.
Let's just do a mishmash. Let's let's at least keep this a bit, Let's keep it open.
Okay, sure. All right. Well, either way, the first one that I'm going to pick, which I think a lot of people might enjoy, Get Out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually a good one. That's one that's it's been like 2 years, hasn't it, since we saw that? So it's probably due a rewatch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that should be interesting. Great.
Yeah, but that's
And
been on my list for quite a while, so hopefully that'll be fun.
Also, again, thank you, another thematically good one, because what do we want to do now more than anything? Get out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Stay In. That's my sequel. I'm pitched it already. Stay In, the sequel to Get Out. Cool. Okay, well, I guess that's that. So, thanks a lot, listeners, and stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and join us next week for Get Out.
Yeah. See you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.
The Thai cook has set out to sea already, sir.
So what?
How are we gonna locate it?
I got a friend in the Coast Guard. I can make a call easy.
How close a friend?
Closer than his wife would lie.